and welcome to the panel AI Solutions for Enhancing Customer Loyalty and Engagement. Today with us we have three wonderful panelists, so let's start with the lady. Our first panelist, Irena Bojarovska, is applied scientist based in Berlin and working 7 years already at Zalando, a leading European online platform for fashion and lifestyle. Irena is originally from Macedonia, studied applied mathematics in Russia and Germany. Welcome, Irena, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you also for the invitation.
Thank you. Second, we have Dusan Popovic, who is an e-commerce expert with 17 years of experience in IT. Dusan leads Byte Software, a company specializing in e-commerce development and consultancy. He co-founded multiple startups, including Office Byte, a platform organizing office lunches and company food needs. Welcome, Dusan, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And last but not least, with 20 years of experience in IT and 15 years in the data domain, mostly in the data warehousing and data science, Milos Babic is joining us as a head of data at Ananas. Worked with some large European and USA clients from public domain, non-profits, and currently leading amazing data team in Ananas, consisting of data engineers, data analysts, and ML engineers. Welcome, Milos, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
So let's warm up this panel with some general questions. Milos, you'll be the first. What do you think is the most significant obstacle in implementing AI solutions for customer engagement across industries?
One obstacle. Okay.
If you would have to choose one.
I have a handful of obstacles, but okay. So I think the one that, let's say, appears as the biggest one is expectations, I would say. First of all, you have to have a clear objectives in what you're making and clear KPIs in what you want to achieve with your, let's say, work that you're doing. And on top of that, you have to maintain expectations from the stakeholders in a clear manner, what they can expect from the work you're doing, not to overpromise things. So I think this is the Can you hear me? Yeah, okay. Yeah. So I think this is the biggest obstacle in implementing things, because success directly depends on this, how you define things and whether you're up to this. But there are many more. So I will sort them somehow in an ascending way from the first one. The next one would be tooling, I would say. We have I was checking our archive like 10 days ago, and currently we have like 24,000 papers published every month, and I believe like 80% of them are AI related. So every day when you open LinkedIn, anything, new things that are silver bullets for sorting out things just pop up at you, and you have to, swim in this and choose the right tool to do your tasks. So if you are not somehow governing this process of the development, things might end up in R&D, which is not what stakeholders usually expect from you. The next thing would be, let's say, team building, especially for the, let's say, region where data is like attractive for the past 5 years or something, when it exploded, basically. Before that, nobody talked about data, let alone was doing this. Like 20 years ago in the Faculty of Mathematics, there was a course in neural nets. And I read the syllabus, and I was like, yeah, this sounds interesting. I would like to listen. No, there is no professor for this. Students are not interested. So this was kind of for losers, 20 years later, fast forward, you have everyone is, AI experts. So selecting right people for the job is quite a challenge. Also, what is big challenge, let's say, is the budget, because AI is expensive thing. And when you present your stakeholders and people that are making decisions with the prices, how much testing and inference cost, there are some eyebrows that are lifted. And finally, one of the, let's say, largest, apart from the objectives and the expectations, is definitely data quality and data availability. This is something that that is a big issue, even though, okay, we address this in one way. If I get the chance, I will talk about this. But data quality is a huge thing, because you can have all these things set up, team, you can have a budget, you can have everything lined up, but if you don't have high quality data, then you know things are problematic. Yeah, so that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I couldn't agree more. But today we had a few speeches on like loyalty and search engines and something like that, and my impression that we are overall more and more aware of that by leveraging AI in every stage of customer journey, or from the pre-awareness stage all the way to the advocacy stage, we can exceed the expectations of today's tech-savvy consumers. From data integration across targeted advertising, content personalization, dynamic pricing and offering, etc., AI can bring the game to the next level, that's for sure. However, one of the obstacles, especially in Europe, is data privacy concern. And Irena, you have a lot of experience working in the Europe and the European Union. How can companies balance the need for personalization with data privacy concerns?
Yes, so this is an extremely important question, and I think here, before we balance, we need to make clear that privacy should come on top. And I'm really glad that in the recent years, together with the development of all this personalized user experience, we are at the same time trying to take care about the privacy and understand these concerns that were not on the table because we just didn't have these problems, or we didn't understand what we can do with the data. So data was existing and just floating in the air, no one cared. We started taking the data, understanding its power, and now we have a tool in our hands. We have to be careful. So that's why for me, before we start balancing, we need to make sure that we are doing the right things. So at Zalando, we do care about this a lot. So privacy and in general dealing with the data is a strong topic, and we incorporate, actually also collaborate with the government to understand what are the rules that we need to obey. And here I can mention two initiatives, let's say, or two topics that are very important to make sure that we stay on top and stay fair in the game. One is the data itself. So for example, pseudo-anonymization of the data is crucial. Me as a customer, let's say, so I also shop at Zalando myself, I was once interested to see, I can't find myself in the data, because as a person with a name, with the address and so on, this is not trackable. Everything is pseudo-anonymized, so if we use something, that is no tracking to the direct people. And then another thing is the GDPR and the issues with the cookies and following. So because we are interested not only about our customers, but our potential customers. So I think nowadays almost everyone is not using cookies anymore. So we can't track who is coming from where, especially from social media and payment advertising. I used to work for marketing. So we lost all of a sudden this track data. And that's okay, we have to work with this. And indeed, it turned out, with the power of AI, we can find other algorithms that don't take into account this thing and still can measure the success of our marketing campaigns. And this is extremely good, because at the end we are working and we produce something, and then we stay with a good feeling because we know that we didn't spoil anything. And another example regarding pricing, for example, here we also have to be fair and follow the rules, same prices for everyone. I think this is clear, right? And then on the other hand, also regarding discounts. So our whole pricing, let's say, ways of working was collapsed at some point, because we need to change the information regarding what does it mean 20% discount. 20% of what? Of the initial price, of the last price, of the minimum price. So now at Zalando, sometimes it's crazy. You see this discount and then 3 other prices below. It's extremely strange, but it's fair because now everyone understands 20% of what. Because if I increased my item 1 week ago and now I tell you it's 20% discount, it's extremely unfair. And we don't want to play this game. So here is where the balance comes. First, serve the customer, have their trust, loyalty, and try to do what we can given the constraints of the good rules. This is my way of thinking, let's say, and I think this is where everyone should go.
I agree. I remember like GDPR was, and probably still is, a huge game changer like about what happened on that field. Dusan and Milos mentioned that there is a need for significant budget for all of this. And a lot of things mentioned today or previous speeches also requires like significant budgets as well. So talking from the startup perspective, how can startups with limited budgets leverage AI to boost customer loyalty in the e-commerce space?
Right, so coming from a different angle, like big companies like Ananas have a completely different set of problems to tackle. But I just want to start with that question from a different angle, and that is, why do we actually care about customer loyalty in the first place? So what's been happening in the market in the last 10 years is a drastic increase of customer acquisition cost, which is probably known by a lot of you who are in business, who help different e-commerce brands. And cost of a click, which you pay on Google, Meta, TikTok, whatever, is drastically increasing. And that is because we have more and more competition, and because of AI as well. That's not the only reason. You have a lot of changes in the SEO world, so acquiring customers through SEO, organic, is also increasing in price day by day. So especially small businesses cannot compete when it comes to buying that click, when it comes to actually getting to a customer, paying directly. Like the average cost of acquisition in the US will be roughly $50. And how much money do you need to make from that purchase to actually have a business at all? So the only route to go is actually increasing the customer lifetime value. So that means once you get the customer on your shop, when you get them onto your brand, you want to stick to them as much as you can and bring as much value as you can. So in time, you extract value from that customer as well. And this is how you actually have a business going long term. So this is really important to understand. This is why we are pushing towards customer loyalty. And it's really difficult for customers to actually get that. So how do you build loyalty? It's not about building loyalty systems, getting points. It's just one piece of the equation. So we actually conducted a small research in Switzerland with our partners. So we were asking, it was a small research, about 250 people. We were asking them, you know, what really matters to you when you come and shop at any shop? And the first thing that you would think they would answer is personalization, because most of us in the AI space will be thinking of us. I mean, we'll be thinking personalization is something that will be a game changer, but that was actually the least important thing in our survey. Literally the least important thing. We're so, we're shocked about that. So the number one thing is, I want to get to the shop and I want to buy something. I want to find it and buy it is the easiest way possible. That was number one. And then the trust issue was also among the top issues. So these are basically the problems you want to tackle, not personalization per se. So a shameless plug, we're helping this company, our partner in Switzerland, build a digital concierge service, a digital sales assistant to tackle this. And let's say tools like these are something that we generally tend to advise customers where it makes sense to put in. So what we found there is that a lot of people come to our website, they want to buy something, they cannot find it. They have a specific need, and most of the search systems are like, if you want this, here's how to find it. Let me just tell you a little story. it's you know, holiday season. I want to sit in my house in a really comfortable chair and read for like a month. I don't want to see anybody. So this is what I tried to do on IKEA 2 days ago. Didn't really work. It was just giving me chairs. Thank you, but that's not solving my problem. Put it in Google. Maybe a little bit better, but still not solving the problem. So actually solving the problem of your customer who wants to find something is the way to go. So these digital assistants are very useful, and let's say advanced search systems are very useful in actually getting from point A, a need, to a specific product that might solve that need. So this is probably one of the best ways to go. Apart from that, like, these systems need to evolve, and as I said earlier, personalization is not important to the customer because he doesn't want to see personalization come to the first end. But the funny thing is you need to have personalization in your product so you actually decrease the time the user will spend on your site. So I'm not going to name any products, but for any e-commerce owners out there, this is something that you should be looking for. Yeah.
Thank you, Dusan. Let's give some space to one more important thing, automation. Irena, how can automation improve customer loyalty in e-commerce? And what are some potential pitfalls?
Yes, thanks a lot for this question. So I was thinking, how do I first define automation in order to answer this question? And it just perfectly flows with the last question about the AI assistants, because this is the one example that I wanted to bring with me. Because at Zalando, some years ago, we had a product that was called Zalon. They were actually modern, fashion designers or fashion experts, let's say, sitting there that you could talk to for free. They were actual people, and they would help you choose outfit. And this was a huge project. It was very interesting. I tried it once myself. So together with them, you choose lots of clothes. You get a big box at home. You try it out. You send them pictures. They give you feedback. Then you decide on something, and then you return the rest, and you keep, and you have a whole set of new outfit. And this was an amazing experience, but as you can imagine, it can be automated, right? And at some point, this project was abandoned, and just recently, Zalando actually launched our AI-based assistant, fashion assistant. So it's doing the same thing for you. There are no pictures, I think, involved that you have to send, but still with a story, you can tell the story. I need this and that. I'm preparing for this and this event. What should I do? It gives you some suggestions. The very good search engine recommendation, relevant, is crucial. And then, your shopping experience is much more smooth. So the fun part about this is that, and you can read about it on Zalando corporate webpage, it was, first version was done within 5 weeks of work. And they launched it, and then they are collecting, it's called like collaboration with the customers, with their feedback, the tool will be improving over time. So I think this is a perfect example of automation. And the second one is about size and fit. So in terms of recommendations, we have a problem that people order clothes and then are very excited and looking forward to come, and then hop, wrong size, doesn't fit well. Frustration, a lot of returns. It's a lot of pitfalls, let's say. And we develop a tool, AI-based, that is actually being able to create a 3D avatar from just 2 pictures of yourself, and then based on this, give you the correct size recommendation. And here comes then the trust part that we also spoke about. Very important, and very clearly we state that, for example, these pictures are staying only on the phone physically. They are deleted right after the recommendation has been made, and so there are no potential risk for privacy concerns. So I think lots of these ideas could come in various industries, but we have to think how we keep the trust and how we keep the people, let's say, happy about the products. Because I'm very often disappointed by these chat assistants when you try to reach customer service, and instead of this you have to talk to some bot, and they just don't understand what you want, and you keep on trying to get an answer, but it's not working. So I think one have to be very careful in order not to have an opposite reaction.
Phenomenal examples. Thank you a lot. It's like amazing. Let's try to answer on how it looks like from internal perspective in the next 2 questions. So, Milos, you lead amazing data team in Ananas consisting of data engineers, data analysts, and machine learning engineers. What challenges do you face when managing teams in the deployment of AI and data-driven engagement solutions?
Yeah, well, okay, deploying data-driven engagement solutions is not different than deploying any other data solution, meaning that you face more or less the same challenges. But before you can, let's say, smoothly do the deployment and without intruding, let's say, the end user and the customers and merchants, which are also our customers in a way because we are e-commerce marketplace. And you have to build this team. You have to select the people. You have to create the team. Then you have to put this team in the context in a company. Data in companies usually sit in between engineering developers and the business. So they have to be a bit from both worlds. So you have to, let's say, fit into release management of the development teams because there is a huge interaction. It's not just building models, it's fitting this into the overall platform. So you have to find a way to make these things work together. The next is business. You have to integrate with the business. You have to understand the problem that you're solving. You have to be kind of a domain expert for the thing that you are trying to sort out. So you need to have good communication with the business. For us, in Ananas, what we did, basically, we developed several different tools, let's call them that way, that enable this kind of communication and ideas flow. We have data dictionary, which is, let's say, updated constantly with the definitions and what each person within the company means about a particular thing, because when you put like 10 people in the same room, they quite often speak about the same thing using different language. So the first thing was to inline people to talk about the same thing using the same language. We have also data catalog, which is a way which data team and engineering team talks to the business. Like, here, your data set, this is the health of your data set, this is the last time they were rebuilt, this is the lineage of your data, like they're built, they're transformed along the way like that, and so on and so forth. So that way they can see actually and see their data inside the system. We have a very basic rule when it comes to data collection. We have a common data lake house, that's how we call it. And the basic idea is whatever we collect and use for analysis and for let's say modeling has to go through this data lake and has to be data quality checked over there. We launched a large project on data quality check. Data quality is when it has the data inside, it's not per se just a data thing, it's a corporate-wide thing. So everyone in the corporation has to be aware what needs to be done in order to speak and have high-quality data and data that are checked, that are valid. This is something that is big. We have like data owners, data stewards, which take care of their data sets, and this is the way to, let's say, make sure that things that you are doing, releasing, are actually doing their job. Next thing is to clearly define objectives, to have small workshops, like to develop the idea from scratch with the business, like we're trying to develop something, and then let's talk together how this looks like, what do you mean, what we mean, and how it should look like in the system. And these small workshops are like 1 or 2 sprints until we are certain that we are developing something that business expects from us. And that's it. One big thing that is, let's say, impacting the whole development is GDPR that you mentioned, and this is something that is now a hot topic here as well, finally. I mean, it's still here since 2018, I think, but it's just now that we are talking about it. Even though local regulation here is much more strict in some segments than GDPR itself, but okay, Yeah. So this is one big thing that you now have to incorporate into every part of your system. Make sure that you're respecting privacy of the people. What Irena said, we want to make sure that our customers believe with us sharing their data, and then that way you're safe. You can have enough material to use and develop personalized recommendations and all these things. So once you set all these things, put them together, then deployment of any data-driven solution is a matter of click. Okay, not just that, but yeah, that's it.
Cool, thanks. Dusan, I would like to hear from your perspective as well about challenges in implementing. Do you have something to add? Because like, very two different companies.
I could probably talk from the perspective of an implementer, right? Not building stuff in-house, but actually implementing it to other, maybe smaller merchants. So the first thing is basically the time and cost of the implementation, and this is like a really hard challenge to overcome, specifically because, smaller companies, smaller merchants have a bunch of problems that have nothing to do with AI. And the time that it takes for them to push you on top of the list to implement a data solution, an AI solution that might help them increase revenue by a little bit or something, it's very high. And it goes for big companies as well, because you have a procurement process which probably takes a year to get to that sale, and then you probably need to wait like 3 to 6 months to start with the implementation, because the data teams and the IT have a backlog which is humongous. So this is number one issue, and the ways you can tackle it, basically two ways. First, you start really small and simple, so the implementation needs to be, as much as possible, 2 clicks. That's not always possible. That's why a lot of companies have issues. No workaround. And the other thing is you don't necessarily need to implement it company-wide, so you can target like a small department and help that department. Could be marketing, could be something else with your AI solution. So this is number one obstacle that we see. The second one is definitely data. So coming from a perspective of a buyer, you're not really sure what's going on. You're not a lawyer most of the time. You don't have expensive lawyers. So you want the company who's implementing to be taking care of the process. So you want that company to be able to consult you and tell you that you will be fine and this solution is fine if it ever comes up as a question, if somebody's trying to sue you or something. So from a perspective of somebody who's building a product, you need to have that in order to implement it and sell it faster and more effectively. So I think these are like the two top most important things. You have UX issues that are coming up. You have willingness of management and the mindset change, but these are like broader topics. Yeah.
Thank you. And like one thing that you inspired me now for one more question. Since you're in B2B and you have clients in many countries, do you notice some difference in like working with them regarding this topic and this question about challenges and something like that?
Countrywide, yeah, like data privacy here, you don't care about it. In Serbia, nobody cares about it. You can actually go. Sorry, I'm talking about small and medium merchants, right? So you can go. Take a pick of like 10 e-commerce shops, smaller ones. You could actually check Ananas. I didn't, and just see like do they have a privacy policy? Is it correct? Do they actually list out all the things that they collect? Like you'll be surprised. EU is incredible. Like the amount of legislative work you need to do is incredible. So. I mean, what you guys do is, wow, jumping hurdles that nobody else has. US, I think everybody's afraid of California and the laws that they have here. So this is what they mostly work towards. But the rest, they're mostly, build it, and then when shit gets the fan, we'll take care of it somehow, we'll pay. And you know, nobody cares if we made money. And actually, I was on this panel a long time ago. Rodoljub Šabić was still here, and he was telling us when GDPR was becoming an issue here, a thing, that, you know, we have the laws, but the fines were so neglectable that people would just pay and go on. Nobody cares. So it's a completely different mindset and you know, playing field for different geographies.
Interesting. Thank you. That's why I think that like the three of you like have great different perspectives and like can actually give great insights. Before we start the Q&A part, I'd like to hear from you something about the future of this space. So the question for everyone, whoever wants to get first. In your view, what skills and knowledge will future data scientists need to effectively develop AI solutions? All three of you are hiring people, all three of you are planning those things, so.
Okay, well, I think that, that the future is interesting because new data scientists will have to have like multidisciplinary knowledge. I would always start with mathematics. I would always start with basics. I would always start with linear algebra and these things, so that you're certain what are the roots, because in all these things all these things are rooted in mathematics. So understanding this from the beginning is a key. They have to have good, let's say, domain knowledge for what they are doing things. They have to understand the business which for they are producing. They are making the product for, and also they will have to know, at least be aware of psychology and ethics, because these are the very important things and aspects. We are facing now deepfake videos which can trick you easily if you're not aware how things work. So amount of knowledge that data scientists will have to have is huge. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I can go and maybe I shift the question, because it's good to know what is a set of skills, right? And especially if we're speaking about technology, everyone can check a big list, and this list will be different next year and so on. So yeah, you kind of, yeah, exactly, even next one. So that's why for me the core skill, I think, in our field is the skill of being able to learn fast. So being open and being able to learn and not being afraid that things are changing very fast is something that you just have to have. Otherwise, you'll not be able to pace up with the current trends. So learning constantly and being able to just, okay, I don't know it just appeared, but I take it, I learn it, I try to implement it, I still understand it, try to understand it deeply, and then this mathematical knowledge is also very useful. It's crucial. But there is another problem that I was not thinking to answer this question this way, but there was a talk recently, earlier a keynote on big data by Jesse Anderson, and he spoke about the differences between the job roles. So as you mentioned, and you probably know this the best, data analyst, data scientist, data engineer, machine learning engineer, there are some other names out there, BI analyst, BI engineer. Okay, who is doing what? And I think that this is the main question that we all need to answer ourselves, because Jesse showed in his talk that often data scientists are doing data engineering job 80% of their time, and they are being ineffective because it's not their job. They don't know how they are doing this. They are doing crap, and they're wasting their time, and they're not using their actual skills, which were nice to have, and everyone told them to have them, but at the end they're not using them. So I think this is kind of the biggest issue.
Or maybe they hire data engineer pretending to be data scientist and feeling safe in his domain,
yes,
just
exactly.
doing data
This was
engineering.
also in the talk that you could, people just make a find and replace of names, and then, yeah. So I think some years ago this was a big issue. I have some YouTube videos if someone is interested on job change, like how do I change? I changed myself from data analyst to data scientist, and how to understand this. And it was a topic several years ago, and I have a feeling that it's still a topic. So
yes, it is. some of the roles, since a few days ago, I bumped into an article that they are like, rest in peace, few of these roles. So these things are changing, but at the end of the day, these are labels. It is important to understand what job you're doing, what are the tasks that you need to carry out in order to get the product, and then you can label the task role any way you want. And things will change. I mean, we might not be talking about data scientists anymore. I hear that this term is slowly, phased out, yes.
Do you have something to add?
Yeah, I just want to share something. I was listening to Eric Schmidt the other day on a podcast, and this thing stuck to my mind. What he says, any organization who's not encompassing AI into their day-to-day is going to be left behind. And to a point, it got me really worried. I mean, okay, we're doing it, but what's happening with everybody else? It's a very non-deterministic future. So I might want to tackle this question from a different angle, not what data scientists should do, but what business should do to learn, and what data scientists and what the community should be teaching businesses. Okay, I'm focusing on e-commerce, obviously, but people have no clue what this is. With, as you guys said, with the rapid amount of changes, a business owner, a decision maker, has no clue what's going on. So the first thing is for them to actually understand the landscape, understand at least the concepts of what data science is, what AI is, to be able to actually make some decisions. So we're talking about smaller companies who probably don't have dedicated people only for AI. They might have a CTO or a role similar to that. So actually empowering these people to make decisions is, I think, really important if those businesses want to thrive. One thing I got from one of our subcontractors, partners, is when it comes to data roles, is the scale. So a lot of data scientists, as he says, I'm just transferring because this stuck to my mind, is that people solve problems on a small scale, right? So what happens if the data set grows, I don't know, 1,000 times? How much time do you need to train that data, to train the model with that data? How much does it cost? So solving the issues for scalability and thinking about, business side of things, you mentioned the same thing, is really important for anybody who's in data and AI. So you might be working on something for months, but if you want to apply that, it's a completely different set of problems. And this is probably one skill set that you want to have as being in a data role. Yeah.
I just want to add something as a tip maybe regarding the, let's say, education about AI to people who are not in the sector. A few years ago, Andrew NG made a free course called AI for Everyone, and it's meant to be for managerial roles or other people in the business who are curious to know what can AI do and what can AI cannot do. Unfortunately, generative AI was not on the table at that time, so it's not covered, but it's still a great base, so I think it's something that one can easily just recommend for people to listen to a few hours and then get a very, very good base understanding.
It's a good example, a year ago, and you're like, oh, it's a year ago. We don't look at that anymore. It's gone.
Absolutely. I mean, great perspectives. I would just like to conclude, I agree that it will evaluate and change every year, but you mentioned deepfake and something like that, and I cannot, I cannot lose a chance to conclude that one thing that I think is the most important, and its importance will grow exponentially as AI develops furthermore, is morality and ethics, and that's not a skill, but I think it will not change. Yeah. The list of skills maybe change from year to year, but that's the common ground.
In my opinion, it has to become a part of curriculum of any university, preparing students for life.
Absolutely.
But definitely it's one of the things that we, working with the data, should be aware of it and know about it the most, right? Because we are the one that operate, so yeah, I agree.
Absolutely. I will leave space for Q&A, short Q&A. If you have any questions, it was a great panel. Yeah, here you will have take mic. Yeah, they will come now. Mm-hmm. Please raise your hand so they can see you. Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much. Great panel. I have a question for Milos. In general, Ananas fascinates me as a company because it's a large-scale startup, and I really love what you're doing in the e-commerce space here in the region. So when it comes to Ananas and the future steps regarding the working on increasing the engagement of the customers and their loyalty, what is going to be? Thank you.
Yeah, okay. I didn't expect anything less than you. A complex question. Thanks, Raisa. So what we believe at Ananas that will happen in the future and where we are heading is for sure dynamic pricing. This is something that is very important for us, and this is something that we'll be working on. We're actually working already on this. We already had some preparatory work done in the past and had some, let's say, iterated through the data we are having. I was mentioning data quality and this kind of things. So I think that we ironed out basics and prepared, let's say, these things for the future. So with this dynamic pricing, along with some other hyper-personalization that we are preparing, like we are entering this retail media. This is also a huge thing that will bring not only customers as buyers, but also our merchants together, closer to each other, so that people can, let's say, convert things faster and, let's say, improve overall experience. Yeah. Did I answer your question? Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
So, you had a question still? Sorry, can you pass a mic?
I also have a question for Milos, but Dusan can also chime in if he has additional insights. So, a topic that was that became new in this space with AI are like something about conversational commerce, talking with a chatbot which is recommending products, which is leading you through some kind of a journey. And what do you think about the usefulness of such a solution? Do you think there are any signs that buyers will actually adopt such a solution, and what are the challenges here?
That's actually a great question. Thanks. Yeah. Sorry, guys. So yeah, I think that it's a big thing, because this is what should bring to let's say the whole buying experience, is this emotion, where people are all about emotions, you know. So this is also something that can be tricky because with the current state of Gen AI is everywhere, and LLM models are everywhere, but this is tricky, you know. This can be if you're not planned and done well, you have to do homework with lots of things underneath. It's not just putting, I don't know, Flowwise AI and just point and click and prompt it. There's lots of things underneath that needs to be done. Otherwise, it's a huge reputational risk, and that can actually turn customers against you. You know, Irena mentioned these chatbots. Endless discussions. Somehow you have to do them in a way where they know when to stop and transfer this to the real human agent, which will take over the discussion and do it. So to conclude, it is a big thing. It is something that definitely we are heading at, and but it's it's not easy task. Yeah.
If I may just add, so one of the things when building these systems, I just wanted to share, because we did some research. For example, people love to have interaction, or at least 1% of people wants to have interaction with a salesperson or even an automized, let's say, concierge. So if you have something automated, you can do that 24/7. You cannot do that with a real person, and that's a huge game changer. And the second thing is, it's really hard, and by hard I mean expensive, to actually train people to know an answer to each of the questions right there and then. That's why you have levels of support. And if you ever try to get something fixed with maybe telco company or something like that, you know, it's a hair loss process. So basically, this is why these hyper-personalized chatbots are really, really awesome, because they're there all the time. They can give you the correct answer. But in order to do that, they need at least 3 things. First of all is the first-party data, or the data that you have on those, let's say, products on the website, and everything around, like, you know, what's a connected product, whatnot. So the second thing is actually having access to everything connected to that specific product, but from the web. You need to scrape that data. You need to have like comparisons. You need to know what the prices are ideally with competitors. You need to know what the upsides and downsides of that product is. And the third thing are reviews. So if you have all that data and you train that bot, you might actually have something really useful. And as Irena said earlier, like, you know, it's a high bar, because like implementing that in a wrong way, as she said, I completely agree, is like people will just not use it. They'll be pissed off and they'll go. So it's really hard to build these solutions correctly, and it takes a lot of time and money, but they do a tremendous job. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, actually, what you said here is that you basically need an ontology on top of like product catalog, which will help you navigate through all possible paths. Imagine Ananas currently has around 600,000 products, you know, creating manually paths, and you know what New Year means, what kid goes to school, and these kind of things, what they mean. Doing this manually is impossible, you know, especially because this catalog is refreshed. We are aiming 2 million items in our product list. So, so you need an ontology on top of this catalog that explains what goes where and how discussion should be navigated.
I'm sorry, we ran out of time. Is it like short question?
Yes, funny.
Okay.
A question for Irena. What are buyers' reaction on telling them right size, regarding your right size assistant?
Yeah, so I think it's a good thing. I think it was especially encouraged that one can be quite rude to the chat bot and be able to say, no, I don't like this, or no, why do you suggest me this or that? Actually, I don't know if you do. I personally, I tell this to my husband, that I yell to ChatGPT. And I love it. I was like, stop, with 3 exclamation marks. I didn't ask you this. And I feel so good. So I think, yes, I don't know what they think, but they are free to react in any way they want. And chat is supposed to stay calm and say, I understand your pain. Sorry.
Cool. Thank you a lot, please.
Thank you.
Huge applause. You were great. Thank you, Milos, Dusan, and Irena. It was awesome. I think the 3 of you are coming from totally different perspectives, so it was very valuable, like all insights that you gave to us. We are going now to the lunch, and we'll be here at 2:45 p.m. for the next speech. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.